Good.
Oh,
Okay, welcome back. Anyway, so we tried to do it. Randy got a really important call from some hot 21-year-old woman who wanted to go out for a drink with him. So he decided that was more important, and he just completely bailed on us for a minute. But he's back. So
this is
like
not
we were
going to
saying,
go over well with my girlfriend.
I said it is your girlfriend I'm talking about. Is that not correct? Sorry, Randy. Apologies, man.
No, she's 15 years younger, but she's not 21. No.
Oh, nice. Well, we can't have everything, Randy. We can't have everything, sir.
We can want everything.
Indeed. We are being joined today by the legend of the game, Godfather to us, always said before, Randy Bowen. It's an honor to have him on the chat. But only talking just from me and Alex as well. You know, we started our collecting journey with Randy Bowen, so we lost our virginities to him in the hobby, and he is responsible for numerous bank transactions that have, either been positive or negative. You can judge for yourself, but
mostly negative, I'm sure.
Yeah, but you know what? At least you're happy. If you're happy spending money, at least you're happy. The worst kind of spend is when you're not happy spending it, right? So thanks very much for joining us, my man. Hopefully we'll go nice and smooth and we won't lose you again. It's not
yes.
But we were chatting about how you're getting on over there, where you are, and you were telling us just, actually it was quite poignant actually. It was I had no idea you were quite as eloquent as you are. So
I'm far more eloquent first thing in the morning, but in the afternoon I lose eloquence.
Because you're like what was it, like 2 p.m. there?
Yeah, it's about almost 2:20 my time.
Yeah. Oh, we're 10 p.m. here, so yeah, a little bit different.
Yeah, you want to see that as the more that red wine starts going in, see how eloquent Alex starts to get. You'll see for yourself.
That's when the real Alex comes out, I'm sure.
Yeah, but sadly,
nice.
He's not nice. I don't like him at all drinking. So, it's not.
Because the reason why you don't like it is because I stand up to you.
But that's never smart, Al. That's never smart, my brother. That's just a bad idea. Like from the get go, dude. As soon as that glass comes to your face, you should be like, yeah, this isn't going to end well for me. And that's the way you should keep things. But yeah,
what was your first piece? Was the Thanos faux bronze?
Yeah, my wife bought it for me as a birthday present. It was a surprise.
Oh, nice.
I remember we went to see the Avengers, the very first Avengers, and that scene at the end of the credits where you're introduced to this person very briefly. In Thanos, and I remember my wife saying to me like, "Oh, who's that?" I said, "Oh, that's like Thanos. Actually, he's my favorite like sort of comic character and all this." And she started searching and things to buy me something Thanos related, and I ended up getting the faux bronze, which I believe is sculpted with you and is it the Shiflet brothers?
Shiflet brothers, yes.
Yeah, but yeah, so it's funny. I've been collecting for as long as I have and bought many from bigger scales to whatever else. I still have that piece, still have it on display even to this day.
It's funny, that's the first sculptural Thanos I think there was, and now there are probably 15 Thanos going.
Yeah, it is a good point. Yeah, that's a very good point. The funny thing is, your one has the faux bronze one has a skull. The one that I have has a skull, which is actually very unique in itself.
Yeah. We had to do something different. If you released it just exactly the same, with the only difference was the color, wouldn't be as meaningful.
So yeah, this is what like, my favorite part of having anybody like on that's an artist and has built these things. I love getting some of the backstory of like why. And why you made those decisions. And I mean, I got to ask you, because I'm a massive fan of your faux bronze pieces. Where did that come from? Where did that happen? What was that about?
That was my former brother-in-law was an attorney, and he said, I love your stuff, and I would always give him copies of the pieces. And he said, I wish you did these in bronze, so that I could put them in my office because they were just too garish for professional.
I get it.
But once he started putting Thor and Spider-Man and things in faux bronze, his clients went crazy, and it would always be a sort of an icebreaker at his office to have the faux bronze, and it's just one more way to get some use out of an existing sculpture, because there are people who think of these as glorified toys, and so it's just one more usage out of existing sculpt, basically.
That's amazing, man. That's great. That's fucking brilliant. But I mean, it's I don't know why, but they've always, you know, they've always been my favorites, and especially I don't know what it is, but the Thanos one with the black and the brass sort of color, only the slight bit of skin is around his mouth being slightly off, like limeish, almost a lime color green.
It's much more serious than the bright blue.
It's just so dark. It's so foreboding. It's something about it. It's very ominous. I love.
Originally, the full color painted version of that was supposed to be a darker blue, but the person who was doing approvals at Marvel at the time said, no, you have to do this color of blue. And so we went with a brighter blue, and then I don't know. I just always thought he looked better in darker colors.
I'm so glad you did, man. And it's funny because they're really low run as well. They're very, you know, the edition sizes of the faux bronze are they're quite small.
What's yours? Yours is 303, no?
303 is the Thanos that I own.
Yeah.
But I love that beast.
The first one I had was the Doom, where he's on the castle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was the first one I had, and then I had a load of minibus, and I remember those when I picked up all the minibus. I had them all, and I got rid of them, and I was like, I'm trying to buy them back now, and that's one of the reasons why I got in touch. Was the thing is we were like talking about this the other week, and I picked up I think it was 20 minibus for quite a good price, and I'm going to get them shipped to UK, which is probably going to cost more than I paid for the bus. But I had this plan where I've spent shitload of money on CGC graded comics, and I put them all out, and I wanted to have the character in front of the stack of comics that I have. So I had a Bowen one here, so I had the cable bus. I put that in front, and I'm like, perfect, enough space on the shelf, looks great. I'm going to hunt them all down now. Now I'm like, I should have just kept them the first time round. God damn it! But,
well, the nice thing about the minibus is you're going to see characters with the minibus that may never make it as a full-size statue.
I said that before we got you on. We said that just before you came on. I said to George that basically what I did was I took about 600 photos of your pieces, like a random selection of photos, and it wasn't even like a third of the pieces anyway. And I did like a video montage, and I was going to just play it, just so there's a video playing of the pieces. Like every 8 seconds, it changes to the next one. While I was going through them, I was like, I don't even know half the characters. I was like looking through it. I was like, I don't know who that is. And I'm like, you know, there's some really obscure characters that you made, and nowadays you're never going to get that. You're never going to get that.
Well, that was, to me, that was the point, is having it would be boring if all we did was Captain America, Wolverine, Spider-Man, Hulk, and, you know, the top 5 or 6 characters over and over and over again. And that was the reason behind the size. I used to do something called garage kits, which were, you know,
that's how you started.
Yeah, basically fan produced model kits. And when I was starting out, I was doing, I had done a Predator kit and maybe 2 or 3 other things, and they were selling for around $100 for these kits. And the guy in the booth next to me at the horror convention was selling refrigerator magnets for $20 a piece, and he was making money all day long, just 20, 20, 20. So when I first started doing the mini busts, I think they were $25 or $30, something like that.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to establish a different price point so that somebody who couldn't afford a $100 model kit or a $200 statue would have something to have their own entry level drug. Are you guys still there?
Yeah.
I
Alex
know,
is just going to put on your montage with your things on there. I mean, there's a question here from Deadpool Caller who says, "Hey Randy, how's your health? How's your back?" So I assume you had some back problems.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I had spinal surgery last summer, and
how
for
you
almost
feeling,
2
man?
years I couldn't walk, and so I had some pieces of metal put in my back and a lot of physical therapy, and I'm doing much better now. So thank you to whoever was asking. I'm doing better, not 100% yet, but by midsummer I should be doing pretty well.
So I was gonna ask you. I couldn't believe when I was looking over some of your stuff, right? You set up Randy Bowen's designs in 1992.
Correct.
92.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, Alex, me and you were still going and buying comics when that started. You know, and then I found it amazing. You got your license with Marvel set up around about 90, I believe 96, 97. That was when you started doing Marvel pieces. Is that right?
Well, I was working. Marvel had an in-house segment or branch of the company. Before that, I was doing stuff for DC Comics and Dark Horse Comics before that, and I had been pitching Marvel. I said, I want to start doing these statues. No one would listen until they started seeing pieces from me from DC. And as soon as they saw pieces from DC, they said, "Oh, what are you doing?" And
that's brilliant.
And so I was doing pieces for Marvel. They had no idea what was going on with how to produce products or anything. So I had a really nice royalty rate at the time, and
lovely.
And then Marvel. That's at the time. Do you guys remember when Image Comics sort of took control of some of the Marvel characters for a while?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, that was a while ago, man.
Yeah, early 90s. It was around
early
the same
90s,
time.
94, 93, yeah.
Yeah,
that's before Spawn. It was like before Spawn and all that came out.
Yeah, it was right around the same time. And it was because Marvel was in deep financial difficulty. So it was perfect timing for me to say, I'd like to do this. And they said, okay, whatever. You know, they had no idea. They because it was just found money to them. That no one had ever done this kind of thing before. And so I was actually doing mini busts first, and then I was doing bronzes, and then I started doing the full size statues, and it was catching on. And my mindset at the time was, I can't believe no one is thinking
doing this. Yeah.
And so
that's fantastically innovating, though.
I had the whole field to myself. And
that's crazy.
After a while, whenever someone starts making money, that's when people start paying attention. And so for several years, it was just me doing these license pieces, and I focused on Marvel because I love to sculpt, and I didn't want to stop doing sculpting. I could have taken on Universal Monsters. I could have done all these different things, but I wanted to still sculpt myself, and instead of just being a project manager. And but after a while, it became clear that I would have to hire other sculptors, and that's when I started branching out.
You've worked with so many. I mean, I've read through some of the list of the sculptors that that you just have that have done projects for yourself of Randy Bowen designs, and the list is quite substantial. You've worked with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of those guys are still around today and still huge names today.
Oh yeah. No, they're bigger than ever. You know, a lot of these guys are doing things for DC and Sideshow and things like that. And I'm happy. To me, it's like back in the day, this, for example, the special effects field. People were always in competition with each other, and I always hated that because it was pitting artist against artist. And I wanted to. I'm a fan of sculpture. I'm a fan of movies, special effects, all that sort of thing. And how cool is it to be able to hire people that you're fans of their work, or you can also see talent that is, giving a shot to somebody, because nobody gave me a shot except that I had to just sort of make myself a nuisance to be able to say, you just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And then when somebody finally took notice, then I thought, okay, I can share this. I can hire the Shiflett brothers or Joe Manna or any of the Kuharek brothers or any number of guys that.
Is that the Kucharak brothers? Did you just say, how did you pronounce that? Is that who you said just then?
My understanding is their pronunciation is Kuharek.
Brilliant. We've been butchering their fucking name for years.
I'm sure they're used to it.
Yeah.
That's great. That's Kuharek. I'm going to remember that. I mean, we just got a couple of questions that come up from the group there.
They just did a project they did the concept for the XM Lady Death and Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
They did the concept.
We just had a question from Barbara Lopez, is a good friend of ours. She's a big fan of yours. I think you've spoken
Barbara.
before, and she asked you, "Are you thinking of making a comeback?"
Oh, you mean in sculpture? I assume. Yeah. Well, at some point. Right now, it's kind of, the world is a weird place. I have a couple projects that are in the pipeline. They're not Marvel. They're more movie related. But yeah, I'm just kind of it's a wait and see right now.
I think that is for everyone, Randy, to be honest. I think the whole world is pretty much in a wait and see sort of situation. But that's great to hear that you've got an idea and you're planning to do something that might be coming forward. That's great. This is a question that's Randy, what would you advise, with all your experience in the field, would you give to a young new fan getting introduced into the statue community, and B, new sculptors wanting to set up shop? That's quite a long question.
Yeah, well, number one, my feeling is just collect what you like. Don't collect because you think it's going to be something valuable or something that's going to. I mean, if you've got the money, sure, but if you're collecting, just collect what you like, because if the market bottoms out or just takes a dump, then you still got stuff that you like. And then it doesn't matter. As far as setting up shop, if you want to become a sculptor for companies, you have to do sculptures that they are producing. You don't want to do I don't know, Captain Kangaroo or some goofy thing if you're trying to get a job doing Marvel characters or DC or whatever. You have to create a sculpture that looks like it would fit in with a Sideshow line or whoever you're trying to interest in doing your pieces. And that it's the same whether it's digital or traditional sculpting.
Can you digital sculpt as well as
I've played around a little bit with it. I just don't find it as satisfying.
Your old OG working with your hand sculpt. I love that shit.
Oh, yeah.
I've actually said this. I said something about this before. Was I went to the con in Singapore, and while I was there was a piece by Tim Buckner, and it was the piece by XM Studios. So it was the Bloodstorm Batman, and it's traditionally sculpted, and there's just something about it that it grabs you in a different way when you look at it. With the kind of digital sculpt, it's a bit too perfect in some ways. Everything, there's no flaws, and when you see the Bloodstorm, for example, he's got the sculpt lines, you can still see them on the shoulders, and there's something about that I really love. But
we've always been a little bit soft for traditional sculpted pieces. That's why we're big fans of like lots of the traditional sculpting people out there, like, you know, Troy McDevitt and Ray Perez and other people like that.
Oh, yeah.
There's just stuff that you kind of dig. You just look at it and you're like, yeah, there's a rawness to it, and it feels like it's got a little bit more of a soul. It doesn't feel like it's been like stamped, copied, and moved. You know, there's not similarities. It's completely original. It feels like that when you look at it, which is just crazy. But yeah, I like that.
Yeah, there's something to a little bit of asymmetry. Sometimes that's why I like the Shiflett Brothers pieces, is because their stuff is so raw that you can see the way they move the clay around and fingerprints and all of that stuff. To me, that's interesting. Mike Mignola's artwork is that way. If you look at his drawings, the blacks in his artwork, you can see little areas where he intentionally didn't fill in all the shadows. There's little specks of white and things like that. That's my favorite stuff. Having said that,
the imperfectly perfect, right?
Yeah. Having said that,
it's more character.
Yeah, there are still ways that digital artists are able to turn off their symmetry function on ZBrush and have things a little bit asymmetrical. And plus, of the digital pieces that Bowen Designs produced, sometimes you know, I would get a printed sculpture back from a digital printing, and I'd have to make alterations because I knew it wouldn't work for mold making or what have you. And so we kind of did a synthesis of digital and traditional, or like I'm trying to think of some pieces that were done digitally. We would just get the figure as a digital print, and then I would sculpt a traditional base for it, or do some touch-ups, or do the hair in traditional. So we try to blend the two.
I think, some other companies tried to do that a bit later on. I think Pop Culture Shock did that with Sagat.
Yeah, but I mean, to be doing that is something that is like happening now. You're talking about 30 years ago that you were doing this. 30 years ago. I
wouldn't say 30 years ago, but
for the digital,
about at least 15 years ago. Yes, the first digital sculpt in the whole superhero statue industry was with the shit, I'm blanking on the name. The devil guy from the Marvel universe. I want to call him Morpheus, but it's not. It's Mephisto.
Mephisto.
Yeah. And that was Joe Mena. He was the first digital guy we worked with. No one else.
Are you talking your one on Throne, the one where he's sitting?
Oh yeah.
That's the first. Is that fully digital, that piece? You know, I'm after that piece at the moment, the faux bronze version of that. I'm looking for that.
Fully digital. Joe Mena did that. And based on John Buscema artwork.
Yeah,
to my knowledge, no one else had done a digital piece.
It's almost identical to that, isn't it? That artwork. It's almost identical to it.
Oh yeah, no, there was a lot of back and forth with tweaking and things like that, and I think that's the first digital piece that Joe had done. He had been working traditionally up until that point, and now he's Mr. Digital.
Do you have to ask you, Randy? Do you think that you doing the garage kits and starting from creating something from the ground upwards, do you think that helped you when you know you're working with all these artists, and like you say, you get this digital sculpting, so you get the figure in and you're just like, right, okay, I need to add this, you know, this isn't going to cast very well, I need to change that. Do you think that's where you gain that experience from?
Yeah, well, it helps that I used to make my own molds and do that sort of thing, so I understand how things need to be broken down for production. I used to literally make my own silicone molds in my garage and do my own molding and casting, and you know, there's a lot of digital artists, sculptors that have no idea whatsoever, and I'm able to, because of my experience with molding and casting my own stuff and doing garage kits, that I was able to walk them through where the separation line needs to be for, like, for example, an arm to fit into a socket, or for the neck if you have a collar that you can hide the seam line or the connection point and things of that nature.
Because it's funny because, you know, today it's like a dirty word. Today, starting from sort of scratch and doing like the, you know, stuff like that is sort of seen as you're doing something wrong, which is kind of interesting because without that wealth of knowledge, you know, you probably wouldn't be anywhere near where you are today. You understand what I mean?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm semi-retired now, but it's because
but it's a funny thing because, you know, there's no statue community. There's no, you know, that doesn't have your name screaming all over it. Like that, people either have you as a gateway, like to start, or they have you as like the ultimate, and they just buy. I mean, we've got lots of people in our group. Once we said that you were coming on this week, we've had loads of like shares of people with their Bowen collections, and they're obscene because there's some of their stuff is they have hundreds of your pieces.
Oh yeah,
and I mean they you know, and they some of the people are just exclusively collect your stuff. So
do you actually know? Do you know how many pieces you made? Like how many?
It's close to 500 individual products. So, and the thing is that what I always try to reiterate is that I didn't do all of these myself. It's because of the people I've worked with and things like that, that we were so successful. And it's because I'm an artist and I knew what artists need to be able to proceed with the next step of their project. And I always tried to pay people on time because a lot of companies, if you're hiring, it's 30 days net before you get paid. As soon as something was done, I wanted to pay the artist because I could relate to that, you know?
Yeah,
but
that's great.
Yeah, no, I see a lot of pieces that they'll copy a pose that I did 15 years ago. They'll do the exact same pose with the exact same character. And I just, well, okay. It's a compliment, you know, to have a piece copied.
They say that it's the biggest form of flattery, isn't it?
Well, it depends on your. It depends on your mental. It depends on your state. If you're a positive person, then I think you know you can think that way. I mean,
there is an argument.
I'd be pissed.
About that. Yeah, there is an argument about that because there's a few pieces recently where you know, you see it and then all of a sudden you see it in the custom world and it looks really the same, and it's like, well, you know, that's an iconic pose for that character, and there's only you know, a fixed amount of poses for that character, you know, that's known as such, and it's a bit like, yeah, that's bullshit, really, isn't it? But hey.
I have to ask you. I have to ask you a question, which is going to be quite a hard question, but it's something that I've always wanted to ask you since I started. You know, since I bought your pieces and then found, like, obviously when my wife gave me the faux and the Thanos faux bronze, I then became aware. I was like, where the fuck did you get this? Where is this from? And she was, you know, and then I was searching online, and it was ridiculous. I bought a lot of your stuff early on, so I was. You know, when you come, there's so many pieces that you made. Is there a piece that's ingrained in your memory where you've just gone, yeah, fuck me, we did a great job with that. That's really nice. I mean, is there a piece that stands out for you, something you made or something you were part of that you just thought, wow?
Well, I really like, there's many pieces. I really like the Kuharek Brothers Apocalypse statue.
That's his favorite one.
That's my favorite one. I've got that piece.
Yeah,
I'm so pleased.
I really like,
I'm so pleased you said that.
Mark Newman did a Medusa for us that
she's on the hair.
With the hair. Yeah.
Her hair is supporting the figure. I really love, there's many pieces. The Kuharek Brothers Hulkbuster is a nice one. Of my pieces, a piece that I'm never happy with anything, but a piece that was really well received was a spinning hammer Thor. And that was one that was pretty well received, and that's again a piece that was. I knew the only way I could do that was the hammer was done digitally, and the figure was done traditionally. But to me, that was the only way that I could accomplish the perfect
look.
spinning hammer.
Yeah, because
form.
it's like a translucent resin, and then there's just bits of minor sort of where it's like slightly handle, and then more so as it goes round. It's a beautiful effect. It's a very nice. I mean, it's a very nice piece. I always preferred your faux bronze version where there is no spinning hammer, personally, but I don't know why that is. I really don't. But I mean, I remember a friend of ours had that the first time we ever saw it. James Wallace had that. That piece. As you walked into his house, he had the spinning hammer floor, and he I think he may still have it. Loved that piece.
I love the faux bronze version of that. The faux bronze is amazing. But also, I know that that spinning hammer idea was copied. By
someone else, wasn't it? By someone else.
Oh, many times. Even Legos copied it.
Yeah, my current employer copied it, but it was inspired by it. But
inspired is a better word. Inspired is a fantastic word. So, Randy, you started your own sort of serious thing, you know, sort of coming towards the late 90s, and then you made so many pieces. I mean, one thing that I think that resolutes with a lot of us is that there is no line that's been more completed than Randy Bowen statue lines. So, you know, no matter if you're into fan art at the moment, fine. If you're into Sideshow, fine. If you're into XM, fine. But if you're collecting, like, I don't know, Avengers, there's no more than you've made. If you're doing Fantastic Four, you seem to be able to just make as many of those sort of characters as you can. You've sort of just gone. I mean, you've made like unbelievable. There's pieces that pop up that I didn't even know were made of characters that I have read about, but I didn't know they existed. Do you think that's just the early days of Marvel, where it was more about, you know, just you could make what you wanted to, rather than you needed to do the bankers all the time, like you were saying, like Wolverines always and Hulks always. Do you think it was about that, or do you think it was? Did you push that you wanted to really?
No, that was the first mini bus that I produced. I think were Hulk, Mole Man, and Ant-Man, because I wanted to set the tone that these were not going to be just those top 5 or 6 characters.
Jack of Hearts.
Yeah, exactly. And believe it or not, there were characters that fans wanted me to do for years. Like I had never been a big Deadpool fan, and for whatever reason, I was not a Deadpool fan. But so many people were relentless about wanting Deadpool. So I finally did Deadpool, and it sold like crazy. And I went, okay. And so we did more Deadpool stuff. And then
you did the X-Force, and then you did an action-based Deadpool. And then you did. I owned the faux bronze version that you did, which is a magnificent piece. It was how me and our good friend Gary Speed actually met. I've got like a very close friend of mine that I've known for about 7 years, six years in the hobby, when he came to my house from purchasing that off me from eBay. So you know, I gained a very good friend from that sculpt. So thank you very much for that work.
You want to hear a Deadpool story very quickly?
Always.
So about, I can't remember, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, Image Comics decided to relocate their home offices in Portland, Oregon, which is the area I'm from. And they were having a launch party at a local bar restaurant. And I had just gotten with my girlfriend, and she doesn't know comics. She doesn't know anything except that she saw the Deadpool movie, and she was also familiar with The Walking Dead. And so I go to this party, and my friend Jim Valentino, which he's one of the founding members of Image Comics. He's a good friend of mine. He said, hey, would you like to meet Rob Liefeld and Robert Kirkman? And I go, yeah, for sure. And so my girlfriend's going, who? What's going on? And I said, I go, have you heard of Deadpool? She goes, yes. You go, you know, Walking Dead? yes. I go, would you like to meet the creators? She goes, you know these guys? I go, no, but we're about to meet them. And so we go to meet Robert Kirkman and Rob Liefeld. And as soon as we come up, my buddy Jim says, Randy, meet, Rob Liefeld. And he goes, oh my God, Randy Bowen, holy shit. And Robert Kirkman had a similar thing, and not to be too dramatic. And so my girlfriend is going, holy shit, I guess he's got something going on.
Randy, you went home and you got very lucky that night, did you? Let's not lie to each other here. That is not a better date to ever go on your whole life.
No, and I opened my wallet and I acted like I was giving a $20 bill to each of the guys just for a goof. But
yeah.
No, but it was a good night. It's very good, very good.
He's actually, I share a lot of stuff, obviously across, me and Alex both do across our social media, and actually Rob Liefeld comments on quite a lot of stuff, so he always comes across very approachable and active and involved in things that's going on. So
he always seems like super cool. Does all his videos, he does loads of videos on Instagram, always seems super cool, but he gets a really hard time, man. People give him a lot of shit, and it's not fair, really. I give him
he's a fan, and the thing is, there's no one who's going to ever be the best or worst at what they do. And how can you fault a guy for doing something he loves and that he's passionate about? And I think it's kind of jealousy. In that he's been wildly successful, and he's still doing it. So how can you fault a guy for that?
Definitely, 100%. Going through, let's have a look at some of the.
Should have a million questions, my man.
Oh, there's lots of them. We're trying to pull them up. Gary's listening, so he came up. So
I love you, bro.
Hey, Gary.
He's a big collector of your pieces as well, Gary Speed.
Are you currently reading anything, Randy?
Comic wise,
not really. No, I read my friend Matt Wagner, who has a comic called Grendel. I read his stuff. I read Brian Michael Bendis with his new DC stuff, and I have many comic book artist friends that I check out their work. And so a lot of these guys live in the Portland area also, so I get to see them on a regular basis.
Didn't you make Grendel?
Oh yeah, made a few different Grendel statues.
Yeah, I remember. I come across. I've never read the comic, but the statue looks. Cool, the statue's cool as shit. Yeah, really cool looking piece actually. That Grendel one.
Do you ever attend the cons other than Monster Palooza, or do you attend Monster Palooza? Did you say?
I've never been to Monster Palooza. I was going to go this year, but things got sidelined. And then
San Diego this year, that's gone tits up, isn't it?
Oh yeah, No, there's been a lot of things that have gone by the wayside, but no, I like doing conventions. It's just I don't know. I'm not a big fan of crowds, and
I don't blame you.
Yeah, and besides the sculpting stuff, I have a whole other business career that no one even knows about, and so I like to keep sculpting as something that I always enjoy and that's always fun. And I don't want it to. I did this for 25 years, sitting basically by myself in a basement in a chair, listening to the History Channel and things like that. And so when I went through a divorce about 5 years ago, I thought, what do I want to do? Do I want to continue to sit by myself in a basement? And it's nice to have people who collect my stuff and who are fans and things like that. But at a certain point, once you become financially stable, and you don't really need to worry about making money every month and things like that, then you start to, at least this is the way I think, I'd like to do more traveling. I'd like to spend more time with my family and things that give you the freedom to do what you want instead of feeling like a slave to the business.
This is actually, it's quite what you're talking about is a very famous quote. Do you follow boxing at all?
No, but hit me with it and I might recognize.
Well, Jack Dempsey was like a world heavyweight champion in like the 1920s. He was one of the most savage history. I mean, he is one of the most savage champions in the history of boxing.
Oh,
yeah. And when he became champion, he gave an interview, and they were talking about things, and he turned around and he said, "Listen, you know what it is?" He said, "It's hard to get up at 5 a.m. and run in the snow when you're wearing silk underwear." And and I guess that's pretty similar to what you're saying. You know, when obviously the work you were doing is very isolating. So the need not to do it, and also I guess you're still very present in the hobby in terms of like you're just one of them names that just you never go away. It's like you've been here since I started. You'll be here long after I'm gone. So I guess there's no need to really worry about being remembered or having to be known, because you'll always be known. Does that make sense?
Well, that's very nice and kind for you to say. What I like to do at this point is I see myself as sort of an elder statesman, and I would like to be a cheerleader for people who are still in the game actively. And not that I'm not, I just want to do things that I enjoy. But I would like to call attention to people who are very, very talented, and give props to the people that need a hand to get into this field. There are so many talented people, and I'm a huge fan. First and foremost, I'm a fan of this stuff. And when you work in the trenches every day, just putting out more and more stuff, you can lose the passion for it. And so after doing sculpting so many guys in tights, you start to want to do other things. Not that I don't love comics, but I started to do some things. I started off doing things that were more horror related, but I'm a big fan of H.P. Lovecraft and dinosaurs and old 1950s B-movie monsters and things that aren't as financially successful.
Yeah.
If I was doing the next Avengers movie franchise or something like that, but it's things that I enjoy. And I'm going to be 59 in December, and so how many good years do I have left, and how many years do I want to spend in a sculpting chair? And it's like, I would like to be working with my friends. I have a lot of artist friends and things like that. To me, that's more approachable, and it has a lot more value than me just continuing to increase my bank account.
So what day in December were you born? Because we both
2nd.
Oh, 10 days. Yeah, I'm the 12th.
Oh,
apparently you were meant to release a coffee table book, and you never did. Parky from your forum says he's still waiting for it.
Might still do it. In fact, if I was thinking properly, I probably would have used this whole lockdown as the time to start scanning photos and things like that.
I would suggest you do it. It's not going to be over anytime soon, my friend. It's going to go on for, I foresee, for lockdown, maybe another couple of months. I think so. So, I mean, I would love a book like that with all your work in it. I think it would be going through your website and going through your Facebook page is ridiculous. Honest to God, it's just ridiculous going through it. It's funny because it's today was a day. Today and yesterday and the last few days, actually, I've felt like I don't know as much as I thought I actually knew a few things, and that I've been around, and I earned a good reputation. I knew some stuff, but as I looked through all the pieces, kept going through all these pictures of stuff you made, there was so many of them I didn't know existed, and it was quite shocking. And I thought, Jesus, if this is just the start of me looking into something and not realizing I know fuck all. It's not a great day for me. So I was looking for it. Just Jesus, there's so many pieces I didn't even know were around. I think
you're not alone. I forget everything that I've sculpted. Sometimes I look at things and I go, when the hell did I do this? I don't even remember doing it.
I saw a Dormammu bust
Dread Dormammu,
with his arms out, and it looks like it lights up for some. Or it might have just been the picture, but
no, it was a light up. It's clear resin, and the light was
behind the light's behind it. Yeah,
I saw the same picture.
I've never even knew that existed, and I was just like, wow, that actually looks amazing as well. I mean, it was quite an eye opener.
Someone's asking, how was your early days working for Horizon model kits?
I never did any pieces for Horizon, actually.
Okay.
But I used to build Horizon models.
Yeah.
Did
they do a Carnage? I think I had the Carnage.
I did a Carnage mini bust, but never a Carnage like a vinyl kit or anything like that.
I think I had a Horizon Carnage somewhere. And I was too chicken to build it, and I left it in the box for a couple of years and then sold it for.
Alex, I wouldn't trust you to make me a fucking sandwich, let alone build a kit.
Yeah, well, that's why I didn't build it. So yeah,
that would have been hilarious. I got to ask you, Randy, if Apocalypse is something that springs to mind as impressive, was there any pieces that you were disappointed with? Any pieces that you sort of like look at and you're like, oh shit, man, I wish that wouldn't pop up?
Oh yeah, well, I did a Superman early in my career that ended up on the TV show Seinfeld.
Yeah.
And I was moving from California to Oregon, and I literally sculpted that while I was on a drive, like a 12-hour drive. And I had never done a full human anatomy before. I had done some monsters and things like that, but I had never done like a character like that. And so that one was disappointing, and I kind of wish that I had time to do it over, but it ended up on Seinfeld, and I've gotten a lot of mileage out of it, so I'm not too unhappy.
That's unbelievable.
Do you have a favorite sculptor that you follow?
Favorite sculptor? Well, most of my favorites are, fine artists like Rodin and
this side Da Vinci and
Michelangelo, Da Vinci, things like that. But no, a lot of the best people I've worked with and have had the honor to hire. I love Rick Baker as far as special effects, Chris Wallace, Rob Bottin. Great guys. I love the Japanese sculptors, Takea, Nirasawa. There's so many. It's hard to
any that you hated.
No,
any that you gave them the check and was like, never see you again.
Rick Baker just did a really good, a couple of months ago, did a really good podcast on Joe Rogan.
Oh yeah, no, I heard it.
Really good one. And Rob Bottin, I love RoboCop, and I love The Thing, and he also did the original sculpt for Darkness as well, which all of those stuff I absolutely love. So
we grew up with all that, didn't we? That's right up our street, that sort of bit.
Yeah, Rick Baker was actually in Portland about a year ago, and Chris Wallace, the guy who did Gremlins and among others, he did the Exploding Heads and Raiders of the Lost Ark. Chris Wallace. Anyway, he and Rick are friends, and I was able to meet Rick at a gathering of some local friends, and he was doing a retrospective of American Werewolf in London, Harry and the Hendersons, and things like that. And I think I have his book here. You guys have probably.
Well, George actually bought the American Werewolf in London one time for my birthday because he knew I loved it.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah. It's funny over here. We had that film was called Bigfoot.
No, it wasn't. It was called Harry and the Henderson.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. It was called Harry and the Henderson.
Shut up! Of course it wasn't. I've always told people it's Bigfoot. Are you serious?
It's called Harry and the Henderson. No
wonder I can't fucking find it.
With John Lithgow. Yeah, with John Lithgow. It's Harry and the Henderson.
John Lithgow. I love John Lithgow, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You're talking shit,
he's
George, by the way.
fantastic.
It could be. There's always a potential for it. I mean, I think Randy, is not that I want to dwell on anything that's negative, but you know, there was a moment where, you know, I think you were going through a bad breakup, and then Rocky's vault just seemed to appear out of nowhere, and that your stock was, some of the stuff, the prices that were going on in there were just absolutely fucking ridiculous. And you know, I never really I didn't get the lowdown of what exactly happened there, but I've been told that was something that your ex-wife basically did. She just got rid of all your stuff or sold all your stuff. Is that true, or is that a load of crap?
Yeah, well, when the divorce happened, we had our archives at the warehouse and things like that, and so she basically got a stack of these things, and I got a stack, and I kept all of my stuff. I still have a warehouse that I keep a copy or two of everything I've ever done, and you know, so I haven't kept tabs on it or anything, but I'm sure she sold a lot of that stuff off.
Rocky's vault wasn't yours though, right?
Well, when we were still together, that was a part of our website. We would auction off parts of like if I did preliminary sketches and things like that.
Of course,
and
yeah.
I honestly don't know. She kept the name Rocky's Vault, and so she may have sold some stuff after that, but I really couldn't speak to that. Yeah,
because there was just loads of statues that ended up. I can't remember. I think I was collecting at the time when that was going on, and I remember it coming up. I was just like, what was going on? Because it was just like there were lots of them that were going for very, very cheap. And it's funny because some of your pieces actually is the price for 1/6 scale for a statue are really quite high. I mean, stuff like your retro cable, crazy.
Oh yeah,
retro cable.
It's shocking to me. I get all the time people message me and ask, "What's this go for?" And I have no idea. There's like almost 500 pieces, and so I have a general idea, but I don't know specifically what things. I have to, like everybody else, I have to look at completed listings. And
it's funny how few people seem to not want to do that and just ask another person.
We get asked.
I get every day. We get about 10 times a day.
Is when you see sales as well, like people are making a sale, they don't look at the complete listings when they're making a sale. They look at the complete listings. So they look at the listings that are not complete, and that's when they make their sale. And then when they're trying to buy, they look at the completed. That's they're trying to sell it for a higher price and buy it for a lower. But
that's actually what I do is I look at completed listings, and if there's 5, I add them up and then divide by 5 and then come up with a price for things. But I still have people thinking that I'm actively producing and things like that, and I have to say no, I'm not doing that.
I've just received the message. Important announcement here from Mike Foden, who's basically sent me a picture, and in the UK it was known as Bigfoot Alex. So fuck your couch. Okay, not Harry Henderson's.
I just posted it on the screen anyway. So anyway, fuck off.
Yes.
What's your favorite scale? 1/10, 1/6, or 1/4? I think that's going to be quite obvious. But
mine is closest to 1/6, but I call it 1/7. Most people just call it Bowen scale.
Yeah, there was a custom guy doing that, but he was making customs and calling them Bowen scale. Sorry.
You know where that scale originally came from was, I don't know if you guys had them in the UK, but Aurora model kits.
No.
Have you ever heard of those?
No,
They're
never heard of
plastic model kits of Frankenstein, Wolfman, from the 1960s, 70s, things like that. But they were about the same size that I do my things. And I wanted to appeal to people who were already collecting those model kits.
It's clever.
And so that's where I took that. And so a lot of people, they've said, hey, if you relaunch, we want you to do quarter scale. But I don't think that would be a good idea for me because there are so many people who want to complete certain characters in whatever hero groups and things like that. So if I was to continue, I would be doing the same scale that I've always done. And with a few exceptions, there's a project I'm working on that's quarter scale, but there's also going to be a Bowen scale piece as well.
Yeah, that Dracula's nice. I mean, that's because he appears in Blade, right? So you can use him for Marvel. Clever.
Yeah.
That Doctor Strange that's on the screen at the moment, you barely ever see that around. And what happened to this? Didn't this get made?
It was at the time we were going through the divorce, and we had to end it.
It's your wife's fault. It's your ex-wife's fault again. It's her fault again. I didn't get that. I love that. I love that fucking piece as well.
Well,
God
I
damn.
don't want to throw her under the bus, and it takes two to tango. So I'll leave
you're
it
good,
at that.
Matt. I would so throw my wife under the bus and completely blame her that you didn't get that better able. It's funny. I mean, if I'm going to ask you, did you what do you think of the? Yeah, sure, yeah, go. I was just gonna, go.
What do you? I mean, do you still look around on the sort of hobby now? What's your view of the price point now, though? And the statue itself.
It's amazing to me. When I first started, DC wanted me to do these complex pieces, and I said, well, I can do this design, but it's going to be over $100. And they said, oh, no one will ever pay over $100 for one of these statues. And I said, okay.
Oh, wow.
And so I would try to simplify the design so that to keep the price down. But now we see pieces that are, $1,000 sometimes.
Easily.
Oh no, and more. In some of the fan art stuff, they're asking prices around $2.5 to $3K, and they sell.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, and also talking about what you just said there, what is your most? What do you feel was your most complex piece that you made? I've got one in mind. I think was quite complex, but
what would you say?
I think like Mojo or something, don't?
Mojo's pretty complex, yeah. But then he did
a little bit.
You did the Death Dealer, didn't you? The Death Dealer on the horse.
Death Dealer. That was difficult to mold. Not that complex. Hey guys, I gotta let you know my battery's about to die. But,
you haven't got a charger in your phone. Amateur.
Hulkbuster might have been a complex one. I'm trying to think of. There's a few pieces that never were released. We were going to do some Ghost Rider pieces. I still have digital prints of a couple of Ghost Rider motorcycles that I still wanted to release, and several things. The Kuharik brothers did a complete set of Guardians of the Galaxy busts that were never released, and of several figures. So if I do come back, and maybe this is my chance to come back, maybe this lull in the, and I don't know if you guys have heard, but are you familiar with Diamond Distribution?
Yeah.
They distribute all the comic books and merchandise in the United States and possibly overseas. But they're closing doors, and they have the license to do the scale that I was doing. So maybe if they're dropping out, maybe I'll throw my hat back in the ring and go for it. But
there was a Guardians of the Galaxy bus set though, no?
There was, but there was several more incarnations of Guardians of the Galaxy with more modern characters, and we never did a Drax or Star-Lord or and some of those. We just did the original set, and I think that set's going for around $1,200 now. Yeah,
I saw that the other day. It's like a pack of 5, and it sells for a lot. Yeah,
I mean, it's always the same with me. The pieces that I like are always the ones that sell for loads of money.
Because you're saying your battery's gonna die. Is there anything you want to cover on this?
No, just we can do this again another time, and hopefully I'm not ready to announce the projects I'm working on, but why don't I do this? I'll get back in touch with you guys, and when I'm ready to premiere a piece or something like that, I'll get back in touch and we'll do this again.
Exclusive. Love it.
Would love to, of course. And we wish you every success, and I think that just listening to just how well balanced you seem to be, it's nice for me personally, obviously, because the rumors that you left because you had a bad breakup, but and just obviously the chat of things like that, knowing that you like coming on and seeing just how well balanced and positive kind of person you are, I think that's going to make me sleep a little better.
Seemingly well balanced.
Well, you never know somebody. Once you have a few whiskeys, maybe we'll chat again and we'll see who you really are.
Maybe that should be the theme next time. We'll have a we'll tilt a few back, and then it's going to get really weird. I have to warn you.
Gio can't do whiskey. Last time he drank whiskey, he spat it in my face because he couldn't drink it.
No,
and that's a true story in the airport.
It's true in the airport in front of everyone.
It was like a $400 bottle of whiskey as well.
Yeah. Holy shit!
Yeah. Just one question because as one of our regulars as well. Do you prefer the action or the museum poses?
I like it's. I don't really. Aesthetically, I like action poses, but financially, I like museum poses because people can fit more of them on the shelf. That's why I stayed away from the larger scale pieces, as I wanted people to be able to have hundreds of these as opposed to just a dozen or so, and it worked out.
Actually makes a lot of sense. There's one, that blaster. There you are. That's a very obscure character that not many people know.
That's a big bust as well, that one.
Yes.
That blaster one's massive compared to all the others. All right, so we'll let you go then, and unfortunately we'll cut it short. But there were a few. I wanted to ask you about the what you thought about the customs as well, Jill. The fan art projects that are popping up, because that's a huge thing in our hobby at the moment.
Oh yeah, I would like to do a few fan pieces myself.
Yeah, I bet you've been asked a lot, no?
Yeah, I've had some pretty nice offers, some from Saudi Arabia and some crazy places. And at the moment, I'm just trying to focus on my own health, getting back in shape after my surgery, taking care of my parents and things like that. And just that in that time in life, I have to focus on the most important things are my family and my health. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. No, cool. Okay. All right. What we'll do then is we'll finish up there. Thanks everyone for watching. Do the usual: like, comment, subscribe, and share. Make sure you click on the thumbs up. And also huge thank you for Randy taking the time to join us on here. And hopefully we'll see him again soon to get all those questions that we didn't answer. So thank you.
It was an honor. Great honor. Thank you very much, brother.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll do it again.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Screen.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
That's me. I'm trying to click on